What if China's new laws meant the world can no longer freely use the rare earth materials essential for electric cars, smartphones, and high-tech military gear? Could the new export controls on rare earths trigger a supply shock, push up costs, and shift global power in tech? And, what might be the ripple effects if the United States responds with its own countermeasures? Wherever you are in the world, if you want clarity on global tech, natural resources, and trade wars, subscribe now. Let's explore what's really going on. You're watching StockScope AE Global Insights on technology, trade, and policy. Let's get into it. China recently passed two major announcements, Announcement 62 and Announcement 61. Announcement 62 requires licenses for exporting rare earth technology. Mining, processing, recycling, and even foreign companies inside China must get licenses for technology transfer in that domain. Announcement 61. Any product made outside China that contains even a small share, as little as 0.1%, of Chinese rare earth material, or uses Chinese rare earth products in its supply chain must be licensed before being sold globally. These controls affect not just raw materials, but the full supply chain, mining, processing, manufacturing, all the way to final tech products. China frames these new laws as legal, justified, necessary for national security. They reference their existing export control law, passed in 2020, as the legal foundation. China claims these controls protect critical technologies from foreign dependency and potential sabotage. It is also a response to perceived United States pressure tariffs, restrictions on Chinese tech firms, and export bans. President Trump's threat of 100% tariffs on Chinese imports has raised tensions. China signals it will act back if pushed. Rare earth elements are essential for so many industries. Think electric vehicle batteries, high-performance magnets, military technology, and advanced electronics. If supply from China becomes restricted, well, you can expect skyrocketing prices, delays in manufacturing, and increased costs for tech companies all over the globe. Countries and firms might move to secure rare earths elsewhere, maybe mining in Australia or Africa, or even sourcing technological substitutes. But, honestly, processing and refining rare earths is super complex and still heavily concentrated in China. So even if raw mining becomes more global, the real bottlenecks are further downstream. The United States and others may see this not just as a resource policy, but as a strategic move in the ongoing tech war. Possible U.S. countermeasures could include limiting Chinese supply, imposing sanctions, or seeking new trade agreements. Global companies might face some tough dilemmas. Do they disrupt supply chains, incur cost increases, or try to comply with technology licensing burdens? Nations that depend on Chinese rare earths are definitely going to feel the pressure, especially when it comes to green technology like electric vehicles and wind turbines, as well as consumer electronics. So, here's the worst-case scenario. Stringent enforcement plus retaliation leads to global supply shortages, massive cost increases for electronics and green tech, and some pretty major disruptions. In a more base scenario, China enforces restrictions only partially, companies slowly adapt supply shifts, but there's friction and cost rises are more moderate. Now, the best scenario? Alternatives scale up new mines, recycling substitutes, plus global cooperation to reduce dependence, and maybe China loosens some restrictions over time. For investors, strategic moves could include putting money into rare earth producers outside China materials recycling and companies that are innovating with alternative materials. China's rare earth export controls aren't just a small policy tweak, they really represent a major shift in how resource power intersects with tech power. Could this be the moment the world wakes up to just how fragile our tech supply chains are? Or, will innovation, diplomacy, and global trade adapt quickly enough to prevent any serious disruptions? Tell me in the comments, what industries do you think will suffer the most? And where do you see opportunities? If you found this explanation helpful, hit like, subscribe, and enable notifications. This is StockScope AI. See you in the next video.